Okay. Chema, I think we have all gathered here as mother's children to bathe in the triple Sangam. So there is a Sangam here, we all know, the meeting of river Kaveri with Arkavati and Rishabhavati. And there is another Sangam, and the Sangam is, we have the lovely, wonderful Gurukul, which reminds us of the greatness of the Indian past, the Vedic culture, and the future represented by Sri Aurobindo Dhama. And the third is all of us who have gathered here, like streams from different parts. So this is the second Sangam. And the third Sangam, which we'll be talking about, is the meeting of the past and the future in the present. Because it's very important, the stream of time, the flow of creation moves forward through cycles of the Chatur Yugas. It moves towards a grand culmination. Pralaya is not the end of life or creation. We rise beyond the Pralaya just as we rise beyond the fire and the ashes to new create, to grow anew, to grow stronger, and to grow full of God's delight in this world. This is the purpose of this, the Sangam of past, present, and future, which is the subject today, going toward the future. In the morning, I had a very natural prayer. Every day morning, I write some prayer, and one of the prayer that came today was that such places are a blessing and a boon, where material nature and spiritual nature and the spiritual vibration come together. It's very rare. I must tell you that, because people often ask me, and when I travel abroad, there are so many beautiful places. And they want to go here, go there, see there. And then that's okay, but then they ask, how did you feel? And I have to say that something very crucial is missing. Materially, it is beautiful, but the spiritual vibration is completely missing. Not just, it's absent. So you can't enjoy material beauty without that vibration. On the other hand, we have plenty of places in India full of spiritual vibration all around. But rarely do we have a meeting of spiritual vibration and beauty in material nature. So, of course, I am not including Ashram and Aurobindo, the incomparable. But it is true, and where you discover it, so not only one feels great gratitude toward the divine for such places, for all those, but for all those who are engaged in it. And often this is something which I keep sharing when I go back. So people ask, how was it? How was the trip? So many trips all around. And I must say that, well, I come back with a bag full of humility. Because when you see people working in such conditions and to create this, we are moving around as if it's natural. But look at the labor of love that has gone into it. And that fills the heart with joy, gratitude, and humility. Because see, this is how people create something beautiful. So, we, of course, in the ashram are very lucky because mother has prepared the dish and she is holding with her hand, and all that we have to do is to eat it. So it is something very beautiful, and all my gratitude. And with that, I come to the wonderful work of Sri Aurobindo Savitri, but one more story connected to the river Kaveri, because when we are here, we must. She is a living goddess. All the rivers in India, in fact, everything in India in creation is living and real. It is living and real because of the divine presence in it. Because if that were to withdraw, everything will collapse. There was a kind of illusion that was created that this is illusion. It is the divine who is present in creation. He supports it, he sustains it, he preserves it. It has emerged out of him. He draws it back into his lap. So how can the divine himself be deluded or clouded. Yes, there is a delusion and illusion which we as human beings experience because of our ego and ignorance. We mistreat things. We don't see the divine presence. We think they are for our own sake. They are meant for our enjoyment only. And that we have to get rid of without a doubt. But in essence, creation carries within it the seed of divine reality. And what is in its womb, it must one day manifest. This is the basic logic of transformation. God is hidden in this world, so one day, through a process of evolution, He is bound to be delivered out. And all this labor and the pains are the labor pangs of a new creation. That's how the mother puts it. So coming back to Kaveri, as I think most of us must be aware of the origins of Kaveri. So, there are different stories will come in a different format. So I am going to share my format. We know that Kaveri has been carried in, she is a goddess, but she has been carried in the Kamandalu of Rishi Agastya. And he is not giving it to anyone. He is not sharing it, he is carrying it. And we have nowadays Lord Ganpati's festival going on. So as we know that, Lord Ganpati with his mischief does many wonderful things. And one of the wonderful things he does is that he says this should be given. But for Rishi Agastya, who is ready to receive? She is Dakshina Ganga. She has the same effect. So who will give? See, it's a tremendous, he brought it straight from Shiva. That's how he has traveled all the way. But he's not ready to release it. So when he is taking a bath and he is busy with his puja, so Lord Ganpati comes and quietly spills it. So when he spills it, it flows as the purifying stream. It's the prasad of Rishi Agastya. And many of us, I'm sure, are aware that Sri Aurobindo in his previous Vedic times was none other than Rishi Agastya. There are so many stories, even I've given a talk on this, so I'll not go into the details. But what is Savitri? Savitri is the same. It is the stream which is not found anywhere on earth, which Sri Aurobindo has carried in his Kamandalu. Now the Kamandalu is the book. And it was released upon earth precisely 75 years back. It's Sri Aurobindo's not just, it's not, before he is withdrawing, it's his gift. Like, parents leave inheritance for children. They leave a lot of money, which obviously children totally get spoiled. So that's what parents do. But when divine parents come, what do they do? So they leave all that is best for their children so that children can bathe in its stream, not just get purified. That Ganga purifies, this Savitri transforms. It's the transforming power of Savitri. That they released and brought down. As Sri Aurobindo says, he took maximum number of years and attempts to compose Savitri. Can we imagine? It started in 1916. Actually, in a sense, in 1893, after coming to Baroda. But then it was just Earth and the Beyond. And if we take from that period, then it is the epic that has taken maximum time, more than 50 years. Virgil took to compose Aeneid, which is another very wonderful classic epic. He took 50 years. If we take 1893 to 1950, 67 years. But proper Savitri starts in 1916. And it's the last work on which Sri Aurobindo continues right 15 days, 2 weeks before his physical withdrawal. He knew he has to withdraw. He knew it was necessary for the work, but it is as if he was just waiting to complete it. And there's that beautiful anecdote when he asked Nirodha, have we finished it? Because, he was constantly revising. He says, yes. And then Sri Aurobindo says, So you see, we can see the connection. So it's also the 75th year of Sri Aurobindo's physical withdrawal, the Mahasamadhi. So, this is Sri Aurobindo's gift to us. He himself said, Savitri is the message, all the rest is a preparation. We may read all the books, we must read, they are so wonderful, but Savitri is his message. And the mother says so beautifully that if you just read Savitri, it can take you to the highest experiences and realizations, including the transformation. And she adds, without the help of a living guru, nothing else is required. And I know through my travels, I have encountered people who have never come to ashram, who don't, know anything about the paraphernalia, but they have just been reading Savitri and it has done such a wonderful change in their life. And the ways it has come, I'll just share one story of a girl in Mexico who was in a state of utter depression. And what happens in depression, we are attacked by all kinds of forces, what we know as the Asuric forces, the hostile forces. And she felt that life is not worth living. And as she was walking, thinking to end her life, she suddenly sees a copy of Savitri on the roadside. She doesn't know what it is. She never heard anything about it. And she picks it up, just randomly, as if simultaneously the crisis and the liberation go together. Arjuna's crisis is also the moment of his liberation. So that's where we sometimes make a mistake, that we take the crisis as the end, but crisis is a door to pass towards a greater liberation. So she picked it up and she was sharing with me after many, many years. She just met somebody from ashram and she said, I have never come. And then she says, changed my life entirely. Her whole life is spent basically reading Savitri and growing in its delight by its power. So mother uses the word mantra of transformation. Savitri is the mantra of transformation. And when we know the rishis used to draw this power from higher and higher planes and give it in capsules of word. Word is originally the paravak, the vibration that we cannot receive. That is the thought, the highest thought of the Vedas, the Dasagavas of the Vedic seers. Incidentally, that's what the other day I was discussing. I said, see, India's ancient ideal was not sannyas, it was rishi. See, and the rishis were great creators, they were innovators, they were warriors, they were kings. They were scientists, they were inventors, they were discoverers, they were lovers. Everything which we can imagine, they were the rishis. This was the ancient India ideal. And these rishis moved in the world, as we know. They were guiding the kings, they were in politics helping the people, and yet they had ascended to higher heights and they had brought down those vibrations through the medium of word. This faculty which human beings have been given, something so wonderful, which is most misused by us. Anything which comes new, this is a unique power. Animals can make sounds, but human beings can, create stir with words. And mother says that human voice has the greatest octaves. So it is the best musical instrument. And we waste it, misuse it, abuse it. And mother goes on to say that when we gossip, slander about others and with harsh language, it is like committing spiritual suicide. These are her words. But the rishis knew how to train this instrument, not through classical music training, that's wonderful, but simply to make it a receptacle of receiving those paravak and, pashyantivak. And then to express it through the Madhyama and Vaikhari, which we can understand. Release it. So this is the work of Sri Aurobindo's tapasya, to capture that vibration, to bring that. And therefore he was writing it. 12 times he has written and rewritten. And someone asked, but why? He said, because he wanted that, because he had all the inspiration at his command. So he says, because I want it to be of the same mint throughout. Nothing short of perfection, whatever human speech is ever capable of expressing. That vibration must be given to man. It is his gift. And as we all know, in the process, Sri Aurobindo lost his outer eye. Of course, he could connect with everybody through the contact with consciousness. And he lost his outer eye to give us sight. And what is sight? So Savitri has to be taken that it's not a book, it's not just about a story, and it's not just about, one of the books Sri Aurobindo wrote. It is Sri Aurobindo's own consciousness along with the mother. Anyways, any book contains something of the author's consciousness. Always it is like that. Why is Bhagavad Gita so special to us? Because it contains the consciousness of Sri Krishna. So anything which is given is an act of. Actually, it is true of all transactions in life. That's why when somebody gives us something, in India we have that it comes from not just a material thing, but it is an expression of that person's, extension of that person's consciousness. And deeper within, if the person is a realized person, then we take it, receive it with a lot of love and gratitude. It's always there. And we have Mother and Sri Aurobindo, they have given so many things. But Savitri is the joint consciousness of the Mother and Sri Aurobindo. Because Sri Aurobindo is writing, but writing about whom? He is writing the story of the Divine Mother. And in one stroke, simultaneously, he is giving us so many messages. So we have the story of the avatars, all the 10 avatars, all the stories are there. But Divine Mother has remained in the background. At least we know that Sita has stayed behind, or she has gone. Though if you read the Adbhut Ramayana, you realize that Sita is conducting the whole affairs. But the Ramayana of Valmiki is, more centered around Rama, the great hero. And of course, rightly so. And with Sri Krishna, we know that Radha is in the background. Though if you ask Sri Krishna, who is it that gives you the impetus to all these impossible things? And he would say, whenever I feel like resting, I go to Radha. We have that story at the end, how Sri Krishna broke his bansuri. After last bansuri, last flute is to Radha. And Radha is leaving her body. And then he says, henceforth, he will not play it again. So, but she stays in the background. So much so that today people even doubt whether Radha ever existed or not. So this is how. With the story of Christ, again, one of the avatars, we know that Mary Magdalene, because we are at least spiritually sensitive, completely wiped away the name of Mary Magdalene, and see what happened to the church. It became a very harsh kind of almost, religion. Because she was wiped out. With Buddha, the mother coming as Sujata, and we just reduce her to one of the girls who, now they have a temple of Sujata, thankfully, in Bodh Gaya. And Mary Magdalene is being recognized. So we have in all the stories of these, the feminine has stayed behind. But now, for the first time, we see the feminine stepping in the front. Why? Because it's the birth of a new creation. Man can do everything. He can put the seed. But if you have to deliver the baby, nourish the baby, deliver the baby, nurture the baby, it's the mother. So it is the eternal feminine, the Divine Mother, stepping in the forefront. And for the first time, we have the story of the feminine avatar, resetting the balance of the world, and also reminding us that we have entered the age of Shakti. That is what Sri Aurobindo says when he speaks about the causes of downfall of India. One of them, he says, is we rejected Shakti. And when we rejected Shakti, Shakti rejected us. She's not. You have to be strong to bear that Shakti. See, in the heydays, when you have Sri Krishna, the India of Sri Krishna, look at the power that yogis, Sri Krishna himself is Yogeshwara Krishna. And when he reveals his Vishwarupa on the battlefield, what does Sanjay remark? Eva Mukta Yatha Rajan. He is surprised that, what Hari reveals, and he starts speaking. Aneka Adbhuta Darshanam, Aneka Vaktranayanam. And he sees that this is the one who is standing on the battlefield. So look at the message. On the battlefield, the divine on the battlefield, not in some quiet, peaceful corner, come here, we'll meet together. What a place for rendezvous of the human soul with the divine cosmic spirit. This is India of old. And this India must rise. And this is the Shakti which must, she's gone forth in the world. We have, of course, the famous verse, Pragya Prastrato Purano. The ancient of the days whose wisdom has gone forth. We forgot the wisdom and we remembered the ancient of the days. That wisdom, that power is the Divine Mother, whom he placed in the forefront, both in the ashram, in Bharat Bhumi, when he invoked, Mata Durga Singh Vahini, he invoked the soul of India as Mother Durga. And of course, he gave to us the gift of Savitri. So Savitri is the story of Divine Mother, and of course it has within it the story of King Ashwapati. And in this sense, very beautifully, it goes along the lines of Ramayana and the Mahabharata in two ways. One is that the author is also part of the storyline. So many times people say, what is the proof of Ramayana and Mahabharata? I asked them, are you silly? There is the first-hand evidence. The author is part of the plot. You don't need... Valmiki is part of Ramayana. He plays a crucial role. And Rishi Vyas is part of Mahabharata. So, one of the evidences is, it's called as in history, the first-hand evidence. So, Sri Aurobindo is very much here in the yoga of Ashwapati. There is all Sri Aurobindo. His yoga, his tapasya, and in so many words he has said and the mother has spoken about it. And all the yoga of the mother is in the story of Savitri. The second thing is, when we look at Ramayana closely, it's a very amazing why it has endured so long. Of course, because of setting an impression of the great ideal. That's how in India we built a mighty nation. Because we knew that, human beings, we need a ideal example that we can follow. It's so important. It's missing in today's times partly because the democratic fervor, there is no greatness, all human beings are equal. We had the courage to say, yes, all human beings are equal, but some transcend the human limits. So we always, revered the Vibhuti. We revered the Vibhuti, we worshipped the avatar, and we revered the sage and seer who had gone beyond the human. We didn't call them as eccentric geniuses. They might have been eccentric, quick to please, quick to curse. But nevertheless, they embodied something of that spirit. So, we see in Valmiki's Ramayana specifically why it endures, both of them. And it's because it is a history, it is itihas, of course we know, not just because it happened like that, but because it repeats itself in individual life, in the life of creation, in the life of a nation. So we see in Ramayana and Mahabharata in two different ways, but particularly in Ramayana, we see that it's a crisis which outwardly takes the form of crisis of events. Crisis of events is that on one side is Ravana, with his ambitious way of, capturing all that he can and converting it to his own way of life, which is no way of life. But see the story itself, he is a very knowledgeable person. He is a Pandit. He has read all the Vedas. On the other side, we have as his, the protagonist of the play, the main hero is Rama. But what is the crisis? Crisis in the Vanara kingdom. Vanara has to evolve. Which line he will take? Asura or human? There are many things in them which are human-like. They were, by the way, they are not Pashus. And Sri Aurobindo speaks of in the record of yoga 10 layers of evolutionary humanity in which Pashu is different and Vanara he describes. This Vanara is a prototype humanity, very fine. They were Vanavasis and wonderful, but always, the Asuras will try to take them into their fold like Ravana tried with Vali. Almost they had created a Sandhi, they became friends. The next was to annex Kiskinda. On the other hand, most of them wanted to become like humans. They liked the humans, they were, better. So it's an evolutionary crisis which took the form of events and circumstances, but it was to decide the fate of the world. And therefore, that time the dharma was to ensure that Bali, the brute, comes out of the way And Ravana, either he accepts to convert or he falls. And this crisis which takes place takes the form of moral crisis, religious crisis, various forms of crisis, economic crisis. But at its root, it's an evolutionary crisis. And this crisis, see how beautifully Sri Krishna puts it. He uses the word dharmasya glani. Yada yada hi dharmasya glani. What is dharma? Is that which holds us. So what is the glani of dharma? It's not like we don't go to temples and we do all this. But why? Not because we truly have this, that the divine is holding us. And there is a mighty law of life, the Sanatan, which Satya, which holds us. Because we want to get our desires fulfilled. We are just Ravana, like wearing a different garb. Who goes to say that I am yours, I give myself to you? Use me, make me your tool, your instrument, your channel, whatever. Make me the dust below your feet, but keep me near you. That is called dharma. So dharma is not external rituals, actions. Plenty of it is there. So see how Shri Krishna touches it. Yada yada hi dharmasya glani. So that age people were very dharmic, but they were all using it for adharma. Bhishma is a beacon of dharma. But look, he could not stop Draupadi being disrobed because he justified it on technical grounds. Vidur couldn't stop it. Yudhishthir couldn't stop it. They were all supposed to be knowing about dharma. Dronacharya, they could discuss, have seminars, you could call them. Nice seminar, they could write books on dharma. But such a simple, direct, common sense act, they couldn't stop. So that's called dharmasya glani. It's an inner crisis. So it's not by rectifying just the outer moral fabric, outer religiosity, not that. He used that crisis for a greater liberation. So what did Sri Krishna bring into this world? Before we proceed further to the next avatar. He didn't tell people, he in fact himself, he did away with many of the externalities in which people were involved. I'm not going into those verses. So he even goes on to say about Vedavada. He even goes on to say about, Anyadeva. But what he brings into the world is the higher law. What is the higher law? He gives toward the end. He says, see why dharma is subject to glani, and I am going to establish for you a new way. What is the new way? Man mana bhava mad bhakta madhyaji manamaskaru. See, before that, bhakti is missing. Shri Krishna brings the peak of bhakti. That's what one of his work was, to release streams of bhakti. But where does he take bhakti? Not just dancing, singing and chanting. He takes it to another level. Man mana bhava mad bhakta. You are on the battlefield and yet it is bhakti. How it becomes bhakti? Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. Abandon all dharmas. Look at dharmasya glani, being liberated. Dharma is being liberated of all the outer trappings. So what is the dharma he teaches? Align yourself to the divine will. Obey his command. Fulfill his purpose in the world, and that is the only dharma you have to follow. Ma manusmaram. Yuddhasya. Fight the great battle of life, remembering me always in the heart. Nothing else is required. Look at where he lifted up. And then he gives the great assurance that you are worried about moksha, good, bad, heaven, hell. I am assuring you, sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tva sarva papebhyo mokshishami masucha. Now, what does Sri Aurobindo bring? He starts from here. Starts with that surrender. So what is that surrender? What is the battle for which he is preparing us? Today also, a great battle is taking place. It's not taking place in the tariff war. They are symptoms. It is not taking place in the moral crisis. We keep telling youth, look at them. They are, selfish generation and selfish generation. All that is all symptom. A good doctor doesn't treat symptoms. He goes to the root. The root is that they're looking for a new way of life. And that battle is being fought within. It's being fought on subtle planes. That's why we have the original battle is the Devasur Sangram. It's not fought on earth. On earth there are representatives. So there are human beings who fight for the Devas, who fight for the Asuras. It is being fought in places which are, consecrated to the greater life. It is being fought within us. And it's being fought all the time. And look at how Sri Aurobindo beautifully shows us the way. So at this point of time, we see all the three forces, or rather all the two, both of them. On one side, there is the present. What are the two main forces? On one side is the old consciousness. Old consciousness is mind will decide, mind can determine, mind is ultimate. And the new consciousness, which is the higher consciousness, the greater consciousness. That's why the mother's prayer, make of us the hero warriors we aspire to become. May we fight successfully the great battle of the future that is to be born against the past that seeks to endure, so that we may be ready for the new things, to receive them, and we may be ready to manifest the new things, receive and manifest the new things. So what are these new things? That we discover in Savitri. So it's very interesting when we look at it. And it's a great reminder, the very birth of Savitri. 1916, what was the world like? If there was I'm sure, I don't know when BBC was born. If they were there, what they would have declared. All kinds of reporting would have been going on. This is happening, that is happening, this alliance, that alliance, dark. Some of us would have said, world has never been darker than this. Everything, pralay aa gaya. These are something very interesting. We are quick to rush humanity into pralay. Basically, we want our own release. We don't want to put effort. So, pralay aa gaya. I am hearing of pralay since when? Movies have been made. Now, even Westerners have caught the bug. So, everybody wants pralay. The 2020, what was that Frozen, that age? Movies came like that, no? Apocalypse, some of these. Pralay is the great deluge. Everybody is waiting for pralay since 100 years. Don't believe. Now, during that time when there is, of course, thick of darkness, we have Sri Aurobindo. What is he doing? Not saying, see, look at this world. They are fighting with each other. We should teach them peace and unity. No. That time when destructive forces have descended upon earth, Sri Aurobindo is releasing light in the form of Savitri. Second World War, even worse. They don't give up. Sri Aurobindo also doesn't give up. Second World War, horror and nightmare and deception, and we can imagine the entire Meghnad's army was there playing the illusion. Deception. I am such a good guy. Even till today, people say, such a good guy, That time Sri Aurobindo is polishing Savitri, chiseling it. What is he teaching us by this very act? Darkness is there, but look toward the growing light. That's a big lesson. The greater the darkness, the greater the dawn, nearer the dawn. This is the Savitri. And we see that repeatedly in Savitri, that every conflict, and this applies at the individual microscopic level. That's why when people are very in Indian context, people often ask, see, there we have ventilator, this, that, 100 ways of intervention. Where is it? In India, we are lagging behind. I said, no, we are way too much into the future. I said, why? Because we don't believe in death. What do you mean? I said, we believe in rebirth. We look toward the better tomorrow. We don't have all this. We are very simple. When somebody is, there is a line I had read in Ayurveda, Yavat Kanthagate Prana, that, till there is prana in the Kantha, physician tries. But how does he try? He does what he does. And then he leaves it to the grace. We are not afraid of death. It's all modern invention of death is largely, the fear of death is largely. Now, in the Western context, there is only one life. So you want to push it after death, it's all gone. And then you are lying, God knows for how many thousands of years. That's why they wait for the world to end, because unless the world ends, they will not be raised. But for us, each end is a new beginning. And we see we are waiting for the new beginning. Sri Aurobindo is ushering the new dawn. And the mother speaks about it, that both these forces at present are very active in the world. The forces of destruction and the forces of new creation. And she says, there are many who are busy with destruction. Doesn't matter. They are going to level this world. Try to save it. It won't work. Again, I am reminded, recently people were talking about the tariff war and nations. I said, just think of the vision of Sri Krishna on the battlefield. And as an aside, they were saying who is more powerful, Narsingh Avatar or Sharab Avatar? So I said, you have not seen the Vishwarup of Sri Krishna. After that, you will forget all others. What does he describe? He says, Arjun, doesn't matter. You are there or you are not there. This is my will. He says, why have you stood up? He says, Kalosmi. What do you want? Lok Shayakrit Prabhadro. He says, I am going to destroy all these people. And then Sri Aurobindo describes, he sees nations running into his mouth. Of their own accord, by their own hands, they will destroy themselves. And we see this in cycles of time. Look at the cycles of time. Where is Mughal Empire? One of the descendants of Mughal Empire is, selling tea or somewhere in Faizabad. Look at that. Would they have ever imagined? Look at the imperial empire of the British. The day they put a, rope around Sri Aurobindo, the decline started. Where is it? Trying to safeguard. So we should not be worried about these things. This is not the Indian vision. Yes, these things will happen. There would be instruments. She said it is bound to be destroyed. Much in the past, out of 18 Akshoini Kaurav Sena and Pandav Sena, only 18 were left, and even the great ones were destroyed, which included Bhishma and Drona and Karna and everybody. So, but she says there are very few who are ready to receive the new creation and manifest it. So that should be our focus. We are so few who can manifest the new creation. So that's what we see. Savitri is all about that. There is so much it describes about the worlds of darkness, all that crisis, and then it talks about the new creation. And why Sri Aurobindo speaks of it? Very simply, because he saw it. Some people ask, what is the proof? I say, he saw it. How did he see it? He talks of that also. Okay, I wanted to read some other passage, but now this has come. So I'll read from there. It's spontaneously open. It's from book 3, Canto 4, The Vision and the Bone, page 343. What did he see? That's what Sri Aurobindo is describing. See, his own vision. So many places. As I said, Vyas in the Mahabharata, Valmiki in the Ramayana, and Sri Aurobindo in Savitri. So what he saw? He had the Trikal Drishti. In Record of Yoga, he writes it as T3. Wherever there is T3, it's about the Trikal Drishti. And he not only has the Trikal Drishti, he is perfecting it. He says there is a small error. What was the error? The crow was to fly. It starts from there. At this point, there were few seconds difference. You can't imagine, even a scientist will not do that kind of micro calculation. Oh, he sees a man coming after 4 days. He says the same man, except that what he couldn't see that time was the color of the hair. Can we imagine what he was trying to do? So that there is no loophole anywhere. That's what he writes to Barinda, that I am rising at 1920, that I am rising in the first layers of the supermind after 10 years of sadhana. So he says, this is so much more. He says, no, I want no scope of error, nothing short of perfection. I must have the ultimate seeing, the complete vision, with no mistake, no error. Then he gives it to us. And what does he write? Page 343. Let's leave the context for a moment and just bathe in the joy and beauty and the prophetic vision of these lines. It saw, first of all, in the endless moment of eternity. There are moments when a window opens, moment of eternity. And the eternal reveals to us, in that flash, the past, present and future. Suddenly we see. Then the window closes. It's like, gap. You are given a gap. So in that moment, and later on you will toil and express, but you will end up expressing what is seen in that moment. So you see, in the endless moment of eternity, it saw from timelessness the works of time. What is that timelessness and eternal? So timelessness is where all this is the sangama of the past, present and future. Time is constantly flowing endlessly, and beyond that is the eternal. So it saw from timelessness the works of time. Over past were the leaden formulas of the mind. Leaden is hard, strong. Leaden formula, no, this cannot be. Superman cannot be. Supramental cannot be. Man we are, man we must remain. Just imagine if people must have told this to Lord Rama also. Monkeys we are, monkeys will remain. And he kept on saying, see in English language, monkey is man-key, man-key. Key to man. And in Superman, man is inbuilt. Man is the key to Superman. Man is the bridge. No, sir. This is too much fantasy, imagination. Doesn't matter. It's okay. Over past were the leaden formulas of the mind. What can be, what cannot be. Is immortality of the body possible? Transformation. Okay, let the mind think the way it is. Over past, the obstacle of mortal space. We can see only up to a limit. In cosmic consciousness, Sri Aurobindo says, what is mortal space? Not just physical space. He says in one of his poems, his cosmic consciousness, he says, I have wrapped the wide world in my wider self. London and Tokyo and Paris, my spirit seeing are. I am the life of the village and the continent. I feel in my heart every stab and kiss. All that is taking place within him. All that. So, when he's using mortal spaces, all that is subject to pralaya and mahapralaya. Pralaya is only when earth is dissolved. Mahapralaya, as we know, the entire, even Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, the gods are absorbed back. So mortal space is martaloks. Look at how beautifully he is describing. All that is subject to death, all that is subject to transience, all that over which the shadow of death looms, all that is mortal space. We cannot see there the ultimate thing, because mortal space, the cosmic consciousness will express only that which has come within the cosmic. You know, when you want to change a law, can the Prime Minister, President change it? No, he cannot change it. He says, I have to bring in the new law. Then I can change it. But once the new thing comes, then it comes into the cosmos and then it will express. That's what is happening now. The new thing has come and being taken up by the mortal substance. That's how he describes, but that's a little later. First, the seeing. Overpowered the obstacle of mortal space, the unfolding image showed the things to come. So he's seeing everything that is going to come. He's describing to us his Trikala Darshan. A giant dance of Shiva toward the past. See? Tandav and Lasya go together. So, that is the Tandav, the entire past. It's gone. We may cry over it. We may curse God about it. He is not bothered. What is gone is gone. People, even to Shri Krishna, Gandhari, who is a tapaswini in a way, and she is burdened with grief. She says, I know you could have stopped it. He says, Ha, Mata. But you didn't? He says, yes, mother. He doesn't need to explain. He doesn't need to explain. Because everybody is acting under his prerna. No, even Bhim is under his prerna. So she says, you could have left one son of mine at least. Look at Bhim's reply. Moved by the will of Krishna. He says, Mata, I love you and respect you. But you know what? If you had 200 sons, I would have killed all the 200. Bhim is moved by that afflatus of the divine. He says, I would have taken all of them. I am sorry, but this is what I would have done. Sabhava Swadharma. He is pushed by that power. And then when the divine force pushes, human beings are like straws, spawns. We don't realize the magnitude of that tremendous forces that are moving in this world today. We are only seeing the effects. But what is happening behind the scenes? So a giant dance of Shiva toward the past. So she curses Krishna, Gandhari. You will see your own Yadukul being destroyed. He says, Ha Mata. He says, in fact, in his heart, he would have said, thank you. This was part of my agenda. Because that's how it is described. When all the, celestial beings come, he says, Mahabharata is over. Come back now, we are missing you there. He said, no. 2 more things are to be done. What is it? Dwarka has to be drowned. And Yadukul has to vanish. What? You will drown your own creation. He says, yes, people are not ready for it. Dwarka has to be drowned. I'll drown it in Arabian Sea and bring it out in Bay of Bengal. And the other, Yadukul, yes, people will claim that we are from the Yadav Kul of Krishna. Remind them, he has destroyed already. So you see what the Lord decides to destroy. You cannot save it, do whatever you may. But this is not the only truth. He is reminding us that amidst, see, the Bhagavad Gita is being given at the time of Mahabharata. And while people are wondering, whether Mahabharata existed or not, did the war happen? They are looking for the mace of Bhima, and we have a Shami Vraksh here. So they are looking for, Shami Vraksh where the celestial weapons. People are arguing, debating it. Nobody doubts the Bhagavad Gita. All over the world, people are reading it. Whatever be the occasion, Bhagavad Gita. So that's what Sanjay says. He is able to see that moment. First he sees the Vishwarup and he says, Rajan, my hair are standing on end, looking at this Adbhut vision. He is so moved. And then at the end he says, you know what, king, I must tell you one thing. Now I am also in a prophetic mood. So poor Dhritarashtra by now is all shattered. He says, see this Krishna, why is he pushing Arjun to work? Arjun is such a good guy. He is taking to, nice person. He is becoming ahimsa, all this. What is this? Krishna is spoiling him. So he says, I'll tell you one thing, Rajan. Again, second prophecy. Much after all this is dead. Just like Chittaranjan Das said, much after this controversy is hushed and gone, his words will echo and re-echo. He says, whatever else may perish, but that dialogue that I have heard, hearing which I am so full of that delight, this will continue, this will survive. And wherever there is Krishna, the Narayan, wherever there is Nar, there will be victory. This is what Sri Aurobindo wants us. To join the Nar and the Narayan, not to reject the Nar. Narayan will say, look here, I know that you have the ansh of Narayan. Or to reject the Nar. Or to reject. I think mic is not needed probably. Okay. Or to reject the Narayan, as many of the people say, we don't need God because we have hydrogen atom. The union of the Nar and the Narayana is the power. And that's what we see, that he is seeing beyond, he is seeing into the transcendent, the unmanifest, what is yet to manifest. So, beyond the mortal space. A giant dance of Shiva toward the past. So what does he first? There was a thunder as of worlds that fall. First the destruction, clear ground. New creation has to come on the clear ground. In 1920s, this was asked to Sri Aurobindo by, I think, A.B. Purani ji. He says, why not, we have many beautiful things, we bring something out of them and build. He says, no. It has taken me and the mother 10 years to completely erase the ground of past. It cannot be done on that basis. He saw it. Because there will be a tendency to get pulled back. You know what happens when you bring something, people, for instance, Mother and Sri Aurobindo, when they bring and try to integrate with the past, they turn them again into, same festivity and 2 minutes meditation. Sorry to say, I'll offer some flowers and that's it. But I won't change my life. This is a human problem. So he said, no, I want to make a clean slate. Because he knows it has to come on something very new. There was a thunder as of worlds that fall. Earth was overrun with fire and the roar of death. See, we have something so beautiful about fire. So in India, fire has these two interesting actions. So on one side, fire consumes all. That's how we see in the Ken Upanishad. When, I think it's Agni goes and asks, and it consumes all. But also, fire is Jat Vedas. It creates all. So what does it do? It removes all that is impure and it creates all that is inside, gives it a shining value. That's how the rishis prayed to the fire. And they wanted tejas, tej, children, offsprings, which are energies of light and heat by that fire that's created. But it will consume all that is ego, that poison. That's why Mother spoke of aspiration, which dissolves all obstacles. So fire and death. So it is at once the consumer and the creator. Clamoring to slay a world his hunger had made. All this consumerism, all this utilitarianism is going to collapse. What a world we have created, hunger. And what does the Upanishad say? Hunger, that is death. Greed, hunger, lust. Mothers gave a message 54 years back. She said, men, countries, continents, the choice is imperative, truth or the abyss. And she says it right now in our international dealings, there is so much hypocrisy. She could say. He says, but you cannot escape for long. Either you choose the path of truth, satyamev jayate, nanitam, satyena panthavitato devyana, or you collapse into the abyss. And truth is not just about something external. Truth is our own deepest truth. That must express itself. So, all hypocrisy, falsehood will go away. There was a clangor of destruction's wings. The Titan's battle cry was in my ears. Alarm and rumor shook the armored night. So everybody is alarmed. What is going to happen? What is going to happen? Rumor. Nobody knows the truth. What is rumor? They say spread a lie. Meaning you don't know the truth. You don't know what is going on inside. So all that is rumor. This will happen, that will happen. That's rumor. So all around we see alarm and rumor shook the armored night. But amidst all this, what are they seeing? What is he seeing? And he's seeing, I saw the omnipotent's flaming pioneers over the heavenly verge which turns towards life. Mother said that, my child, there have been souls which have waiting for hundreds of years for this moment to take birth upon earth. So yesterday somebody was saying, no, we have the youngest audience there. Oh, there, he or she. That's it. See everywhere when there is they are coming upon earth. They waited for this moment. Souls which have, some are Jivan Mukt, some have gone beyond. They are waiting for this moment. Dham Bhai, Sri Aurobindo remarked, he said, one of the Vedic rishis. So these are the ones who are waiting, those who have arrived at through their inner development. I saw the omnipotent's flaming pioneers over the heavenly verge which turns towards life, come crowding down the amber stairs of birth, forerunners of a divine multitude. See, when Kardam Rishi, what command he gets from Lord Vishnu? He says, produce offsprings. So he is 14 wives, or some good number of. Now people don't realize what it means. So we think by creating more and more children, today we are also getting into that mode. No, rabbits breed and they don't live long. We are not flock of sheep. We want one child, but one child like lion who can, stand like Arjun. Kauravas were 100. Pandavas were 5. If you want to call it 6, okay? Up to us. But Pandavas were 5 because Karn, though born of Kunti, is Kaunteya, not Pandava. And out of these 5, only 2 were sufficient, or even 1 was sufficient to demolish the entire army. When Yudhishthir hears, that there is a whisper going on, WhatsApp message comes. What's the discussion? So the spy says, sir, bad state. I heard Duryodhana ask, Dronacharya, how much time will it take to finish the Pandava army? He says, 1 day. He asks Karna, he says, well, maybe 1, 2 or 3 days I can finish the entire Kaurava army. Then he asks Bhishma, he says, half a day is enough for me. While all these are saying now, Yudhishthir's blood pressure is going up. This is the situation of the enemy camp. So he asks Arjun, how much time you will take? Arjun says, in a moment I can finish them. That's why Krishna had sent him to have Pashupatastra and the Divyastra. Pashupatastra is the, as we know, deadliest of weapon. He says, in a moment I can finish them, but I am not going to use the Divyastra. Except for Karn, he never uses Divyastra. What a confidence! That except for Karn, with that too at the bidding of Shri Krishna, that he deserves a Divyastra. He said, I don't want to give them Divyastra wala mrityu. But if you ask me how much time, potentially 1 moment is enough for me to demolish the entire Kaurava army. That is what, we have to understand. Tejasvima vadhitamastu. That kind of children who are going to be offsprings of the future. So they are the flaming pioneers, forerunners of a divine multitude. And I do suspect they are being born many more in India because after all, this is the place where they will find the spiritual and material world joining. And even if they are born outside, they come to India. That is also true. Most of them, many of them I know, they come because there they find that true inspiration. So that's how they are being born. Out of the paths of the morning star they came. So morning star, when the light is, the darkness is turning towards light. So this is the star which you can still see in the morning. So this is the Yuga Sandhi as they call it. Out of the paths of the morning star they came into the little room of mortal life. This is not going to be easy to handle these children. I think every parent knows it. They feel trapped in a mortal body because they are so vast, wide. You shut them into narrow formulas? No. They react because they are wide. So you fit them into standard ways. You must touch the feet of the parent. They say, we respect authenticity. Finished. Not just because somebody is elderly in age, no, but we respect authenticity. These children are like that. They don't like hypocrisy. So into the little room, when they come into the mortal life, they have to adapt to the ways of the world. It's not going to be easy. And they will be misunderstood quite naturally. I saw them cross the twilight of an age. That's what, we are going through. The Yuga Sandhi from the Kali Yuga to the new Satyug. But a Satyug which is not going to ever fade, and whatever mini pralaya will be there is going on. But not a pralaya of that kind. Because it's now taking off from this point into the new creation. These sun-eyed children of a marvelous dawn. You will see them with the light in their eyes. The twinkle in their eyes. You won't know them by their external things. The great creators with wide brows of calm. Nothing is impossible for them. This is the state you give them a challenge. They want to overpass it. You say you cannot do it. Acha? Okay. In FMC when I got admission, so we were given a list, places not to go. So all of us said, oh, these are the places we must once go and see. Don't tell the children. They are super excited about taking a challenge and overcoming it. They don't know what it means. So explain to them by all means, but the moment you create a barrier, they want to overpass it. This is their natural instinct. So the massive barrier breakers of the world. So they are not going to follow the old norm and pattern. They are going to bring new things in the world which we cannot imagine. We may say good, bad, neutral, but this is how new creation proceeds. In the beginning, we'll not know. They are trends. But these trends will become the norm tomorrow. See, when Shri Krishna set a trend, what was he? In many ways set a trend. But I am not going to talk of many trends which people start, But one of them was Govardhan Puja. Why you are ignoring material nature which is giving you so much? No, Indra will be very angry. If you don't put oil to Shani Dev, he will... he is God of justice, he is not going to take your bribe. And it is good. Go through his justice process. Then we are ready for the Surya Lok. That's his job description. But people try all this. So similarly, he says, don't worry about Indra, I'll handle it. So for the first time we see Indra being humbled. And the Gwalbal. So that's how he brought in many new things, incidentally, in this world, even in the coronation of Yudhishthir. All these, that's a whole long story of Bhagavad. So I'll not enter into it because then I won't know when time has gone. And what are they? And wrestlers with destiny in her lists of will. They are born to wrestle with destiny, with fate. So the old time which often we hear, in India when I hear, I feel very sad. Karma hai. We didn't accept like that. Did Sri Krishna tell Arjun? There is a truth of law of karma, but not the way we understand. He says freedom walks with every face of fate. The soul in man is greater than his fate. Savitri is about challenging karma and destiny. Sri Krishna didn't tell Arjun, you know what, Arjun? I'm sorry, it's your karma, You lost the game of dice. But sir, they did the wrong. He will get punishment in another life. This life, you have to suffer. Maybe you go into the forest, that's the right thing. He doesn't say that. He says, fight and conquer. Either perish, fall and perish nobly, or conquer mightily. Rajyam samradham. This is the command given by Krishna to Arjuna. Where is fatalism in all this? We were the ones who challenged fate. Look at Rishi Mandavya's story. Sri Aurobindo has a meditation on meditations of Rishi Mandavya. When he is told, you had done a karma in some 100 lives where you pricked one butterfly, so you had to sleep on a bed of nails. Long story, but I'm just cutting it short. He said, what? A child pricking nail through a butterfly in ignorance for that? As a sage, I have to suffer it. He says, with all the tapasya that I have gathered. See, Kamandalu was always a Rishi's tapasya. Huh? It's not just drinking water. So it was always, he charged it. That's how you see, they used to take this in the Anjali. So I'm not joking about the river Kaveri. Huh? It's actually Rishi Agastya tapasya. So he takes it in his hand and says, he throws it at Yama and says, with my tapasya, I change this law. This is not a good law. You can't create a mechanical law. Long back. So when we in India say fatalism, it is how? No. We took the challenge even of destiny. It doesn't matter whether you win or lose. It's irrelevant. In Savitri there is a line. O king, your fate is a transaction done at every moment between your soul and God, between your soul and nature, with God as its sole witness. So he says, what may happen? You try to struggle and you may fail. He says, doesn't matter. Even if the one maintains the unseen decree, yet your refusal is written in thy credit page. He tried. He tried. Refusal is written in thy credit page. For doom is not a close, a mystic seal. It's not the end. You tried. That's the effort which goes with us. Arisen from the tragic crash of life, the spirit grows mightier with each defeat. Its godlike wings grow wide with every fall. Try. Doesn't matter. Look at the story of Tiger Hill capture. Imagine if they knew they are going to be slaughtered. Everybody knew, a whole battalion knew. Because, you cannot fight an enemy who is on the heights. That's the whole problem of Siachen. Because they will throw stones and kill you. You don't need bullets. But there were men who went, took the challenge. And today, that part is now, even 370 is removed and we have, why? Because there were some people who didn't succumb to fate. They said, doesn't matter. Whatever, look at Abhimanyu. He didn't succumb to fate. He immortalized himself. That's India. I prefer to die. Then he could have said, okay, basically you're my grandfather. Bhishma, have a heart. Drone uncle, please. I am your favorite disciple's son. You can spare me. Nothing. This is India. We fight against fate. So wrestlers with destiny in a list of will. The laborers in the quarries of the gods. All around we see. And what are these quarries of gods? Where new things have to blossom. So they are sowing new seeds for the blossom. So laborers in the quarries of the gods. The gods have furrowed, prepared man's soil, human soil. This is the Arya that Sri Aurobindo says, what is the meaning of the word Arya? He says, people say we are warriors and farmers. Yes, because it takes from the root Ar. Ar is the front part of the plowshare. He says, yes, we furrow the soil of human nature so that we can yield the yields of plenty. And he says, we are warriors. We fight for the good, for the true, the right, for the beautiful. So that's how we are Arya. So he says, the laborers in the quarries of the gods, the messengers of the incommunicable. So Mauna is a strength for speech. We don't antagonize silence and speech. Silence nourishes speech. So the divine and the creation, the creator and the creation are not two. The creator nourishes the creation. That is the secret. So he says, the messengers of the incommunicable, the architects of immortality. We have these gods in the Vedas which are known as Ribhus. Ribhus are human beings who have become gods. And they are called as artisans of immortality. So we as human beings have to become architects of immortality. How do we become? Immortal thoughts. We should not just release all kinds of thoughts, books, this, that, and no. Something which can be, look at architect of immortality. Vyas, Valmiki, Kalidas, now we have Sri Aurobindo. Even some people in the Western sphere, Aeneid, Dante's Divine Comedy, they are Homer's. They are immortal, though they have used mortal things. Pen and paper. So, immortal creations. So, we are architects of immortality. Immortal feelings. Some new kind of power of love which manifests. And that it, you see, till today people speak of Radha and Krishna as the acme of love. What is that love? They never lived happily ever after. They never lived together. But ask anybody that, Radha and Krishna, they will swear with Radha and Krishna's love story. That is the love story. So he created immortal love that people till today, all the stories of Shri Farhad and Ranja and Laila Majnu, they pale into insignificance before Radha and Krishna. Even Sita and Rama, it's a love story, wonderful love story, but Radha and Krishna is beyond. So we have creating immortal architects of immortality, immortal deeds, immortal impulses. Da Vinci tried to build aircraft drawings. Valmiki thought about the aircraft. Whether it existed or not is irrelevant. People often say, did Pushpak existed? I said, look at a man. Whether it existed or not is completely irrelevant. The fact that he conceived something which today exists. Look at what a futuristic thinking it is. Architects of immortality. That's what we have to become. Things which immortalize in the hour. Faces. Okay. Where did they come? Into the fallen human sphere they came. Why is using the word fallen? Because Mother says man is a god, but he has fallen from there. So he can become as the gods. He's meant to be as the gods. We have the story of, Sati Arundhati, who even she told the god, Anusuya, who told the gods, be like a child. You see, human beings carry within them, and Mother said it's so true because we carry within us the Supreme. So that's what we have fallen from there because we have come here for a work. So, faces that wore the immortals' glory still, voices that communed still with the thoughts of God. Bodies made beautiful by the Spirit's light. I'll now quickly read it because I think otherwise the whole day will go in this. Somebody has to keep reminding me about the time. Okay. We have 7 minutes. Okay, 5 minutes. Carrying the magic word, the mystic fire. Words laced with the fire of new creation. Carrying the Dionysian cup of joy. You see, what is the sign that words are flowing from above? There is delight in it. Don't listen to whoever you want to, but dry dust scholars. You know what? Supermind is above, then overmind is below that, then you have illumined mind. By that time, we are becoming inframind. After a good sleep, it give a nice clap. Divine creations are full of joy. Anything you see. Read Savitri is full of delight. That's what divine creations are. Even life divine, but we have got cobwebs in the mind. We want a dry philosophy. According to this Siddhant and that Siddhant. But here is something which is, full of delight. So, magic word, the mystic fire, carrying the Dionysian cup of joy. Dionysius, just to, he is one of the Greek, if I may say so, he was a tantric. So Dionysius used to teach the gospel of delight. But unfortunately, as happens, later on, all the people in trying to capture delight became drunkards. So although Dionysians were the one carrying the staff of Dionysius, like we have now some flag or something, so they were carrying the staff of Dionysius. That we believe in, we have in Tantra that, Ananda, the path of Ananda. But naturally, they got confused and, they went into drinking and drunkard and finished. But Dionysian himself was a, mystic, like Apollonians were the rational, they were more like the Vedantic. And the Dionysians were like the Tantra. You take the joy and bhoga of nature and proceed further. So Dionysian cup of joy. Lips approaching the eyes of a diviner man, lips chanting an unknown anthem of the soul, feet echoing in the corridors of time. High priest of wisdom. Corridors of time means because they are bringing the timeless truths into existence. Corridors of time. Not feet echoing in the corridors of power, of political power. To get some Padma Vibhushan and all that. And these are all nonsensical things. Feet echoing in the corridor. This is worth, company of the gods. Discoverers of, high priests of wisdom, sweetness, might and bliss. They are priests. What does the priest do? Mediates between the human aspiration and the God. So they mediate between what? Wisdom, man's mind and God's mind. They are priests of wisdom. Then they are also priests of might. They awaken a whole nation, awaken a whole mankind. So high priest of wisdom, sweetness, might and bliss. Priests of sweetness. They fill the human heart full of bitterness with sweetness. And joy, bliss. Discoverers of beauty's sunlit ways, and swimmers of love's laughing, fiery floods. You see, fiery flood. Love is described like that. Ye aag ka darya doob ke jana hai. You want to save yourself, you are not a candidate for love. You want to lose yourself, fine, come in. Will something survive at the end? Then you are out. That's the relation which should be with the divine. ये इश्क नहीं आसान बस इतना समझ लीजिए ये काक का दरिया डूब के जाना है. You have to drown and go. And dancers within rapture's golden doors, their tread one day shall change the suffering earth. It will not be through an act of government or parliament that a new creation will come. Forget about it. They will do their job. They are needed. They have their own place. But the children who are going to change, one day they are the ones who will inherit. How long? These are the children. They are coming by the masses. Now production has increased. Because there are parents who are aspiring. Earlier it was unconscious. Have a child. Why? So that budhape ka sahara. The most stupid reason one can have to have a child is that in old age somebody will help me. This is how we had fallen so low. Why marriage? Ladki ko khuta se bandh do. What foolish reason. Tie a girl because before she goes berserk. Can that be more low and ugly? Now we don't bring children as budhapika, old age guarantee. Children are not old age guarantee. They should fly far from the nest with wide wings into the world. Those who expect or want their children to look after in old age, no, that's not their job. They're not here for that. They're here to fly into the vast sky, to bring out new things. Like Bhagirath, to bring the Ganga which we couldn't. Like Walt Whitman says, "Oh youth of today, go far beyond us, trample over our corpses." Go beyond us. So these are the children. Their tread one day shall change the suffering earth and justify the light on nature's face. Although fate lingers in the high beyond, and the work seems vain on which our heart's force was spent, all shall be done for which our pain was borne. Even as of old man came behind the beast, this high divine successor surely shall come. Behind man's inefficient mortal pace, behind his vain labor, sweat and blood and tears, he shall know what mortal mind barely does think, dares think. He shall know what mortal mind barely dares think. He shall do what the heart of mortal could not dare. Inheritor of the toil of human time, he shall take on him the burden of the gods. See, the gods are laboring. The Vedas tell us. Every nerve, some god is there behind it. Everywhere there are gods. And these are the children of the future. So we are going through this. We talked about, what is the root of conflict? It's the battle between the past and the future. It's being fought in the present. Everywhere is a battleground. For us, this is the battleground which is immediately accessible to us. Others, where we are very quick to criticize, judge, all condemn or whatever, glorify. But this is the battleground. And this future, what is this future that Sri Aurobindo speaks about? Not a better governance, not a new religion, not a better religion, none of these. Humankind has tried experimenting with science, technology, religion, philosophy, everything. Not a new philosophy, not a new religion, not a rehash of the old. Old wine in a new bottle. That's what not Sri Aurobindo doesn't want. As he said, I don't want to give old wine in a new bottle. But something which has never happened. As the mother says, we are witnessing. This is an unprecedented moment in the earth's history. We are witnessing something that has never happened before. The birth of a new world. So this is where our efforts have to be engaged in as children of mother, as inheriting their legacy. And the more we move in the direction of the new creation, the shadows will chase away, will drive away. It's something which I keep saying in psychiatric practice also and everyday life. If you get tormented by the shadow and the darkness, they will grow. But if you move toward the light, turn the face toward the light, shadow will fall behind you. And as you stand in the blaze of the light, it will melt away as a non-real something. Jai Ma. So we'll take a break now.